Do you think everything is over in crypto now, or are we just getting started from here? The market is stuck between these two thoughts. There is indeed data suggesting that the bull cycle is over and that we are about to enter a bear phase. But on the other hand, we see that there are indicators or forms that show that there may be good increases in the next few months. So how do we interpret this uncertainty? Here is the 2025 4. I will tell you about the quarterly report today. And they wrote a very nice title. Crypto's map is navigating uncertainty. So then let's find your uncertainty and move on to our report. There have been some very unusual movements in crypto lately, friends. Gold has broken record after record. Stock market indices have hit new highs. While the market was rising and M2 supply was increasing, Bitcoin moved sideways and altcoins dropped sharply one after another. What did we used to say? We used to say, there's no liquidity in the market, there's no money, that's why the market isn't rising, but M2 is breaking records and other indices are going up. The peak is happening in crypto. Actually, looking back and knowing why it fell or why it rose doesn't always mean much. But now it's dropping in such a ridiculous way. We can't even find a rational reason anymore. But we can say this, crypto is a risky asset and it doesn't like uncertainty, and right now there's uncertainty on the side of the world's superpower. Wars, tariffs, honestly, these have reduced trust in crypto. But when we look at the Coinbase report, the report actually tells us this. You can't lift your head up from altcoins. There's a saying, I see it a lot on X. Take your eyes off the TV and look at the real charts. Look at the Bitcoin and Ethereum charts. What they're trying to say is, this is real crypto. Now, I'll explain this in our video. What do market players think? Coinbase conducted an important survey between September 17th and October 3rd, and here are the results, friends. 67% of institutional investors and 62% of individual investors expect Bitcoin to rise above $130,000. Again, 45% of institutional investors think we are in a late bull cycle. The biggest concern among participants is the macroeconomic data and uncertainties I mentioned at the beginning of the video. The report also addresses ETFs. Everyone's expectation right now is this: if an ETF is launched for such and such coin, will it skyrocket? But the report says that ETFs are now a catalyst for the market and they won't cause such a geometric rise anymore. Instead, it says that ETFs have now become just another element of the market. There is something called a prediction market, friends. You must be seeing Polymarket all the time. The report says that the total value locked on platforms like Polymarket is currently breaking all-time records, and the report ranks this as the most successful product in crypto after stablecoins within this group. By the way, if you don't have a Binance U account, you can sign up for Binance U advantageously using the QR code you see on the screen or from the video description. You can complete your identity verification and start trading altcoins with bonuses. Now, my favorite part in the report is asset treasuries, but now they're digital asset treasuries. This means that companies used to keep dollars in their vaults, or they used to hold bonds and funds. Now they're adding digital asset treasuries to their vaults. In other words, they're holding Bitcoin and Ethereum. 3.5% of the circulating Bitcoin is held in company vaults. It's kept in corporate digital treasuries. And about 3.x% of the circulating Ethereum is also held in the same place. This shows that these assets are no longer easily sold and that rapid, volatile movements will decrease. Again, one of the parts I enjoy the most is what we call real-world assets, or RWA. The total RWA market has reached $30 billion. That's the current situation. This growth shows that traditional finance is also becoming digital and moving on to crypto, friends. The report also covers Q3 a bit. So how did the third quarter go? Ethereum has risen by 70%. AVAX, on the other hand, has risen by 64% in the third quarter. Compared to these, Bitcoin experienced a smaller increase. So investors are now moving from Bitcoin to Ethereum and AVAX. Therefore, it suggests that they may turn to selective altcoins. We wouldn't include this in the report. Coinbase says that while futures trading volume has increased, the amount of leverage is decreasing. So now there are more conscious investors. There is a mature group of investors. They are moving forward based on data, and that's why volatility is lower, they say. There are interesting things happening on the Ethereum side. In the third quarter, Ethereum is surpassing Bitcoin when it comes to ETFs, friends. While there was an inflow of $9.4 billion into Ethereum, Bitcoin only saw an inflow of $8 billion. Also, while the number of transactions on the Ethereum network hit a record high, gas fees dropped to their lowest level in the past 2 years. In summary, Coinbase says in this report that the cryptocurrency market continues to grow in terms of institutional investment, liquidity, and use cases, friends. However, it's wise to remain cautious in line with the winds of macroeconomic data. We might experience turbulence in November. Bitcoin is still the leader. There is a lot of demand for Ethereum, but when it comes to altcoins, people are now being selective and should continue to be selective. In other words, they think this last quarter should be approached as a cautious bull market. In the Q4 report by Coinbase and CoinGlass, in their quarter 4 report. I hope everything has been clear. You can ask any questions you have in the comments. Hope to see you in another video. Goodbye, friends.